Good afternoon. Hi there. My name is Jobadiah. Roman's Revenge is my gamer name I use for Ninth Age. Thank you so much for coming to my channel. Today I'm talking about Ninth Age Battle Report. This is from the New Year's Revolution, which is a team tournament put on by some American players. They run it through their American Discord. This is round two. If you haven't seen round one, go check out my round one video. I just posted. And I'm just gonna get into it. So, I'm playing Emperor of Sonstal in this tournament, and it's funny enough, I got matched up against Ben, Vampire Covenant. I don't fully understand the way pairings work in team tournaments, so I'm not gonna break that down for you. Um, as far as I understand, though, well, it's teams of five, and so you get paired up against another team, and then the team leaders. There's a little bit of strategy involved with how they actually try to go about pairing because you want to get favorable matchups. So I had this marked as a yellow, um, either yellow or green. I think it was. It might have actually been marked as a green because I just played Undying Dynasties and I destroyed them. I think I marked it as a yellow though because I wasn't sure how to handle the. Well, I'll get into it when I get into the list. So let's just take a look at. This is my list. This is what I've been playing in 2021. It's got some weaknesses. Notably, there's no BSB. Yep, no BSB. Uh, but I have Discipline 10 because of Imperial Seal, and I have Range 18 on the Commanding Presence because of the Household Standard in the Heavy Infantry. So, Discipline 10, Range 18, and I have Divination and Orders, which I can get minimized discipline checks, so I figured a BSB wasn't really worth it. This is the list that I'm playing against. Big thing in this list is a little different. There they are. That's what they are. This is what I have trouble with. Banshees. I've played against Banshees before. Banshees are a pain. So I marked this as a yellow because I knew going into it was going to be hard to get objective. Because look what. Okay, VC in general are really good at bringing back models. And it's hard to just totally obliterate models and miniatures. But especially with this build, um, with the Nosferatu bloodline, they just bring back extra models. And especially with the necromantic staff as well. I knew it'd be really hard to win objective, so that's why I marked this as a yellow. I figured I could go for a draw on points and hopefully prevent any of my own units from being destroyed. I'll get into the objective in a little bit. Um, he's got a lot of chaff, if you notice. The Banshees were something I played against before, and they're really difficult to deal with, so I was wary of them as well. And then he had Varkalax, which I don't see often. Usually people go with the Shrieking Horrors, but something interesting. And that's about it. You can look at the list more, break it down. The other big thing I wanted to point out on this list is with the where was it? I just looked it up. Okay, with Arcane Knowledge on his Vampire Courtier, Arcane Knowledge means that he gets to boost his not even boost. It's just automatic. His spells cast by that caster have a +6 range, so he was able to cast occultism spells um at like range 24 when normally they're range 18. So that's huge. It's massive. There we go. Scenario secondary objective was capture the flags, which I mentioned or alluded to earlier. Which capture the flags means that you have to destroy enemy scoring units. So I knew that was gonna be really hard because look at his score. His scoring units: 35 skeletons, 35 skeletons, 30 zombies, and 32 barrel guard. I knew it was going to be hard to score objective against this, so there you go. Deployment was counter thrust on map 12, and of course, as usual, because we're playing on Universal Battle Learn, we're just playing with digital armies. I like to include images of my real army, what I've painted so far, so there you can see what I actually play with. All right, this is the map, and the deployment was counter thrust. I guess I should have taken screenshots as we did drops, because in counter thrust you're only allowed to put down. You alternate putting down a unit for 3 units, and then you can drop all. So um yeah, he won the roll for side, so he chose the top. So I chose to deploy first because I wanted to go first. So I dropped my spearman first, and he put down like these wolves. Then I think I put down one of these flagellant units. I think it was the middle one, and he put down bats. And then I put down spears here, to prevent him from hiding behind this impassable. That's what this is called. It's an impassable. So I put down spears here because on counter thrust, enemy units had to be 20 inches away. So with my spears here, 20 inches means he couldn't deploy anything directly behind the impassable. Because I wanted to, that's the only place he can hide stuff from my cannons. So that's why I did that. And then I dropped the rest, not knowing where he would put the rest of his army. Because at this point, all he has is wolves and bats, and I think probably the skeleton unit. And so I deployed the rest because I didn't know what he would do. And I was worried that if I hardcore committed to this side, he would just commit to this in the corner, and I wouldn't be able to get to him. Which I guess would have been okay because I forgot my objective going into it was just to keep just to deny objective. So I was a little wary. I thought he was going to be more aggressive, especially with his relentless banner marches. So I had to play like this. It was okay. I don't know how to deploy on this map, or especially with counter thrust. It's just kind of weird when you don't know what your opponent's going to do. Um, and then so he deployed in the corner. He cornered, basically, kind of, and then he put his Varkalax over here, which his teammates told him. I guess that was not smart, but he put him over here. He was hoping that he could pick off some of my scoring units because these spears and my knights are scoring. So then for scouting, I put down my rangers like this. Rangers they should be good against Varkalax because they have lethal strike and they have shots too. They have lethal strike against beasts, and Varkalax are beasts. Otherwise, I wanted my rangers over here to shoot his wolves and his bats because they're gonna chaff. So I wanted to be able to kill his chaff. So that's why I deployed the way I did. And I put my cannons like this because I figured that way if he put his Varkalax over here, my cannon on the hill can still target, and my cannon over here can still target him. He can't really, the hill's not really blocking that much for this cannon. But also, if he did try to hide behind the impassable, I would still be able to hit him with at least one cannon. So that's why I deployed my cannons this way. And then he did his vanguards. Varkalax actually have vanguard, but he decided he wasn't going to be too aggressive because of my knights. And that's basically all he did. Alright, then it was my turn. First turn. I pushed forwards because I realized he's cornering and he's actually scared of me. So since he's scared of me, I'm gonna come forward. My plan going into it was to not come forward, but because he cornered and it seems like he was scared of me, and then I decided to throw that out the window. And then over here, I just shift just a little bit because he's got good charge range on his Varkalax, and I just want to try to pick him off with my shooting. Then magic phase. I actually got off a couple of pyro spells, and I blew up a good amount of his skeletons here. But the other issue, I didn't mention this before, I have a master on pyro. Um, and the thing is with pyro, the spells are only 24 inches. So because he cornered, and because I put my unit behind my flagellants, I had to push forward just to get within 24 inches so I could even cast spells. So that's kind of an issue with Pyro. It's only got range 24, except for Fireball. But, yeah. I actually miscast. I rolled, I rolled 3 4s. I rolled 3 dice, and I rolled 3 4s. So I miscast, but then it went down to 3 3s, which caused like 2d6 strength 3 or strength 4 wounds on the caster's unit. So that's why I lost 5, core infantry in the first turn on my turn, because I miscast. So there you have it. But I was able to put a little bit of pressure on him with pyro. Then it came to shooting. I was able to shoot off some of his dogs. And I was able to put 2 wounds on a Varkalek, but then look what happened to the cannon. I rolled a 1. when I rolled a hit, which is a misfire, and then I rolled like a 2, and so it's jammed. It breaks down, or it's not even jammed. It breaks down, and I can't even fire the rest of the game. So from turn 1, this cannon was not able to do anything. Very disappointing. And then I just pick off a couple more wolves with my rangers. Then we go to his turn. He moves forward into my face. Um, on this side with the Varkalex. And then let's see. And then he actually, yeah, so then he pulls himself backward. He's going further into his corner. Because he does not like my pyro. Spell wise, he didn't really do anything on the first turn. Alright, charges. Then it's turn 2 for me already. Turn 2, I charge my knights into this Varkalak. My spearman, I just kind of shift again, just a little bit, hoping that I can shoot and kill this Varkalak. Um, I yeah, I just feel like it doesn't do anything if I charge into it, and I'm hoping that my shooting will be able to take it out. So I push forward even more with my flagellants to get in his face. I turn my Arcane Engine around so that I can try to cast Quicksilver Lash, or actually probably Fate's Judgment. Quicksilver Lash won't do anything against a Varkalek, they don't have armor, but I have Fate's Judgment. Yeah, I didn't even take Quicksilver Lash in this battle. If I want to cast Fate's Judgment on it, and then I figure I've got 20 bowmen, which actually works out to 40 shots, and I still have a cannon. So, I feel like I have a good chance to bring that Varkalek down. But with all of my shooting, I only do 1 wound. My cannon actually hit, but when I rolled to wound, I rolled a 1. So, the cannon hit, and then I rolled a 1. And then with 40 shots, I only did 1 lethal strike. So, that was disappointing. I mean, I was really only hitting on 6s too, so 6s and then 6s with 40 shots. I should have had about 6 or 7 hits, and then I should have had like 1 wound. So I guess that's actually dice realistic, but whatever. So that's fine. I just don't think about those things that far ahead of time. My knights kill his Varkalek, and then they turn around. And I make sure that he can't charge. The Varkalek can't charge him. The Varkalek can really only charge my spears, and that way my knights are going to be here to charge the Varkalek and clean up if he wants to do that. So now he charges Varkalek into my spears on his turn 2. He's hoping to kill off a core unit so that or not a core, a scoring unit, so that he can put some pressure on the objective. And then he pushes forward here because his Banshees have this nice little Banshee Scream ability that does a lot of damage. So he's going to push in and try to blow up my Flagellant unit so that he can deal with them. And then he chaffs. He puts his wolves forward. He chaffs both of these units. And now that I turn my Rangers around, I can't deal with his wolves as well. I can't deal with his chaff so well because my shooting is trying to take care of this Varkalek. He's able to heal up because the main spell I'm trying to dispel, I did dispel because he's got like evocation. I'm basically always trying to stop this spell that reduces my toughness, my resilience by 1 on the Flagellants because they're resilience 4. So he's always trying to debuff him, get him down to resilience 3 so that his Banshee Screams will actually do a lot more damage. So I let him get a healing spell off in exchange for that. Then his Banshee Screams just kill, I think they killed 10. Yeah, they killed like 10 Flagellants. So, not fun. And then his Varkalek just goes right through my spear unit. Because they're out of range of my general, they only have discipline 7, the Varkalek causes fear. And so it's not, they can't hold. Plus he kills. I don't remember how many he killed, but he killed enough of them. It was obvious. So now it's my turn, and this is turn 3, and this is where I make the decision not to charge my knights into the Varkalek. And even though I'd set it up that I would do that, in my mind I'm thinking, okay, if I charge the knights into the Varkalek, I just saw him mow through spears. If I charge my knights in, there's no guarantee the knights are gonna kill him. Like theoretically, not realistically, but theoretically, I could roll poorly, he could roll well, he could kill my knights and destroy them, and now he's up 2 scoring units to my 0. And so I'm thinking, why would I risk a scoring unit when I don't have to? Because I have other things that can deal with him. I have a cannon, and I still have 40 rangers over here. He's got a wound. Well, maybe I can bring him down. Well, so that was my thought process. Um, Already with that thought process, he's winning the battle because his Varkalek's only 345 points, and I'm devoting this is almost a 500 point knight unit. Both of these ranger units are 145 points, so that's 290 plus the knight unit is like 780, and then the cannon's 245. So I'm devoting over 1,000 points to bring down this Varkalak, who's only 345. So he's already winning the battle. And I just don't always think about things that way, but that's why I'm pointing it out now, because if I verbally say it, this will help me get into the mantra of in future battles of knowing, hey, don't spend 1,000 points to bring down this model when you need those 1,000 points to do something else. So that's an important lesson. I charge, so I didn't charge. He actually healed the wound with the vampiric roll. I let him do that. Um, I charge my flagellants into this unit because they're right there, and if I don't charge, he's just gonna Banshee Scream me to death. So I gotta get into combat. The flagellants don't do anything if they're not in combat. I then use these flagellants to charge in. I thought about charging both in, but he angled in such a way that I wouldn't be able to outflank. And I really want to get this middle flagellant unit into the flank of his skeletons, because in my mind, I'm positive that if I can get them into the flank, I'll just blow up that unit. So that's my thought process there. Magic, you can see I was able to blow up a lot of his barrel guard, which was nice, because I didn't really want to fight them in combat. They're coming on my flank now. Oh no, his barrel guard are here. This is just his other skeleton unit. But I was able to kill a bunch of skellies, keep the pressure on with my pyro mage. Shooting wise, you can see I put 2 wounds on. So with 40 shots, I was able to put 2 wounds on. So I just did the math a few minutes ago, and that's actually a little bit above average. So that was good. And then with the cannon, I thought about it for a little bit, and I thought about Grape Shot because he is within 12 inches, and I thought about it, and then I didn't do Grape Shot. I did a single cannonball because in my mind, Grape Shot's only strength 4. The Varkalek's resilience 5, which means I have to roll 5s and 6s to wound, and then he still gets the 4 up fortitude. So in my mind, I'm like, what's the point of Grape Shot? He'll just save everything, and he'll live. I might as well fire a cannonball. That way, at least I have a better chance at wounding, because all I need is a 2. I need to not roll a 1. And then, but then he still has the 4 fortitude against the cannonball. So I probably should have done Grape Shot. I'm not really sure. Any other Empire players, let me know what you would have done. Would you have done a single cannonball in this situation down here? Cannon against the Varkalak. Would you have done a single cannonball, or would you have done Grape Shot? Let me know, because I never see Grape Shot used, because typically nothing gets within 12 inches of a cannon, unless they already charge it. Uh, yeah. I rolled. I think I missed. I wasn't able to hit it with a single cannonball. I need a 4 to hit it, and I didn't roll a 4. I think I rolled a 2 or a 3. Uh, Combat-wise, his Banshee is just tearing up my flagellants. So that combat doesn't go anywhere. He actually, I think, wins the combat, but because I'm unbreakable, of course, it doesn't do anything. Then on his turn, he moves the Varkalek over here to get into my rear of my main mass of my army. He chaffs me again with bats, so now these two units can't get into the flank. And then he's able to get off, on this turn, he is able to get off a -1 resilience. So that's why I wrote that -1 there. So I know those flagellants are all gonna die. And I'm not really sure what to do, because now he's got a Varkalek in my rear I can't seem to bring down, and he's just mowing through my flagellants, and I can't get my other flagellants, 60 flagellants, into the fight because they keep getting chaffed. So then on combat, he kills all but one flagellant. He stays, and then it's my turn. I have to charge the bats because I need to deal with them. I slide these flagellants over because now I'm afraid that I know he's going to kill this flagellant on his turn, and then on his turn he's going to be able to charge my general's unit. So I move my flagellants over to try to block, right? I bring my spears up and I move flagellants over to block him from doing that. I figure, once again, I'm not able to get these rangers into position, but I still have another 10 bow shots and a cannon to try to bring down the Varkalak. Well, let's see. Magic phase. I keep trying to bring down his skellies. Shooting phase. You can see I have the X over the cannon because I misfired. I tried the single cannon shot again, and I misfired. So again, this is now I had 2 opportunities to fire grape shot at it, and each time I chose single cannon. And that was the other thing that it didn't occur to me before this battle, was one of the advantages of grape shot, even though I only wound on a 5 or 6, there's no chance for a misfire, as far as I know. I probably should look that up, but as far as I know, when you do grape shot, you can't misfire. But I could be wrong on that fact. He has 2 wounds. I'm not able to do any other wounds to him. I do no wounds on this turn. Combat-wise, of course, I kill his bats. He kills my flagellant. I think I overrun and I only get to here. He charges his Skelly block into these spearmen, and his Varkalak charges into the rear. You know what? I'm gonna get my rulebook out. I should have looked this up before the video, but let's just look it up together. So I'm just gonna look up grape shot because now I'm wondering if that's true, because that will affect things in the future. Cannon. So cannon is on page 108. Cannon on a natural to hit roll of 1, a cannon misfires. Actually, so that's not saying anything about it. Let me look in the Empire rulebook here. Because if you can misfire on a grape shot, then as a volley gun, oh, you can use it as a volley gun artillery weapon. Alright, so actually, grape shot is as a volley gun, so actually you have to look up the rules for volley gun. So, rules for volley gun. And ruling for number of shots, if a natural 6 is ruled, the attack suffers -1 to hit modifier. Instead, if 2 or more natural 6s are ruled, the attack fails and the volley gun misfire. Okay. So, if you fire the cannon as a volley gun, which is basically grape shot, the only chance you have to misfire is if you roll 2 6s when you roll for hits, and you're only rolling 2d6. So it's probably pretty rare that you would misfire doing grape shot. Okay, but it is possible. So there we go. We cleared that up. I was kicking myself the whole game. I was kicking myself for not charging the knights in, and I was kicking myself for not using grape shot. So now I looked that up, and now I know how to use that in the future. So it's his turn. So bad things happen. He does his Varkalak combat first. Well, you can see here he brings a wolf up. He's able to chaff me once again. His Varkalek gets into my rear. He kills enough people, of course, to force a break test, discipline test. I remember I have discipline 10 on the general, and I only break on 11 or 12. I roll a 12. So I roll a 12 on 2d6. His Varkalek, of course, catches them. They break. He goes into the Flagellants, which forces a panic test. My Rangers stay, but my Arcane Engine fled. And then my Spears fled, and he rolled to restrain because he wanted to get onto my flank. So this is how it's looking at the end or the beginning of turn. We're already in turn 5. So this is turn 5. I charge my Flagellants into his wolves just because I'm hoping I just want to get into his units and kill his units. I rally my Arcane Engine. Wait, this is turn 5 already? Yeah. Okay. I bet. Let me go back. Okay, yeah. So then on his turn, his Varkalek just chooses the Flagellants, and I can't seem to kill it with the Flagellants. He turns his Banshees, and they just shoot and kill the rest of the Spears with the Banshee Scream. And he chaffs me with his last chaff unit. I'm unable to charge and get into his blocks. He turns his Spears so that he can magic my Rangers. And then I charge my Knights into his Varkalek. So that on turn 6, my Knights finally kill the Varkalak on turn 6, which I should have done on turn, I think it was turn 3. So it ends up like this. And then on his turn, what panicked the Knights? He must have he killed a couple models. I'm trying to remember what panicked the Knights. He panicked the Knights. They ran through the Rangers and the Knights both ran through the Impassable, so they lost a bunch of models and they're fleeing. And so at the end of the game, it looks like this. I was never able to get my Flagellants really into combat. They just kept getting chaffed and magicked. His Varkalak, 345 points, did a ton of work. He killed 3 of my scoring units. I killed none of his scoring units, so he easily wins the objective. And that's how it ends up. So oh, and then his last turn, he was able to do his Banshee Screams and kill the Flagellants. So it ended up being a 3-17. It was a good game with Ben. I forgot to mention earlier, he lives in Australia. He's a really nice guy. If you ever get a chance to play him. He's really nice. Fun guy to just spend 4 hours with. And things I learned from this battle. I'm still so I've thought about this a lot in the last week since I played him. It kept me up all night after I played him. Uh, so like I said before, I was devoting 1,000 points to trying to bring down that Varkalak on turn 3, and I should just charge the Knights. The Knights, realistically, on average, not even on average, like even if I roll below average, the Knights were going to deal with the Varkalak. It would have had to been really bad, like really, really bad rules for me, and really good rules for him, for the Knights to not deal with the Varkalak, because they have lances on their strength 6 on the charge. They have static combat res because they're gonna have a charge. They have a banner, so I'm already up by 2. I have a good chance of doing 1 or 2 wounds, and so I'm gonna beat him by like 1 or 2, and then he's gonna crumble. So, um, yeah. What I came to the conclusion of after the game of why that was a bad decision of not charging the knights in to his Varkalak was because I needed my cannon and both of my ranger units to kill his chaff. I should have seen that at the beginning of the game, like going into the game. Like that should have been the role of my rangers. My rangers shouldn't have been deployed at all near the Varkalex. They should have just been deployed to deal with his chaff. And because he kept chaffing me the whole game, I was unable to use my flagellants. So that was really frustrating, and that was my fault because I didn't have my rangers in the right place. So that's what I learned. If I had other tools for dealing with the chaff, then it wouldn't have been such a bad decision not to charge my knights on turn 3. But because I needed the things I was going to use to bring down the Varkalex, I needed them to do other things. It was a really bad decision. So there you go. One bad decision did a cascading effect and got me a 3-17 on what realistically I I think realistically I should have if I played better I could have made it like 8-12 or something. Like I could have still lost, but I think I could have pulled out a lot closer to a draw. I just didn't really anticipate, and he didn't either. Honestly, he realized he deployed his Varkalex wrong, poorly, and he wasn't expecting him to do anything. Like all he wanted to do was to kill that spearman unit so that he was winning the objective, which then puts pressure on me to engage with him to try to draw objective or maybe pull out a win on objective. So there you have it. Sorry if I got a little rambly. Sometimes I ramble. Those are things I learned. I hope that you learned something too, especially if you're playing Empire. It's a tough battle out there. VC, I'm trying to think if I've had any success against VC. I think against lists like this, I can really only hope to get a draw, and that's just how I should have played, and I didn't really stick to my game plan going into it, so there you have it. Thank you so much for listening and watching this. Let me know if you have any other things you noticed that I didn't point out, things that you think I should learn from, and be the player who somebody wants to play again. Ben's a great player. I want to play him again. Hopefully, I think I reflected myself well, and hopefully he'd like to play me again too. Stay safe, everyone. Thanks. Take care.